So I decided to do my speech on wrestling since it's a new sport here, and I feel like not many people know what it is. So to start out, some history of the sport. It's known as the oldest competitive sport because they found cave drawings that go as far back as 3000 BC. And it's kind of funny because they're trying to take it out of the Olympics, but it was even in the ancient Olympics, and the furthest back that is known in the Olympics is 708 BC. And then it was also in the first modern Olympics, which was in 1896. And then the first ever collegiate championships were held in 1934, and this year is actually the first year that Southeastern's had wrestling team. Also, Southeastern is the only college-sponsored scholarship program in Florida. There's other club teams, but we're the only actual scholarship program. And then how wrestling goes. In high school and college, there's 3 periods to a match. And then in international or like Olympic wrestling, there's 2 periods. And in college, your first period is 3 minutes, and then it's 2 and 2. And then in high school, all 3 periods are 2 minutes. In international, like I said, there's only 2 periods with 3 minutes long. So once you get past college, it gets really different with scoring, timing, everything, because there's also 3 styles of wrestling. There's folk style, there's freestyle, and there's Greco-Roman, which the 2 that I'm focusing on today are freestyle and folk style, which college is all folk style unless you're like there's women's college wrestling, and it's all freestyle. They don't do any folk style wrestling. There's different positions in the sport. So in the first period, you start out standing up. You both put your foot on the line and you wrestle, and you go for takedowns and stuff like that. And then in the second period, you can either take, you can pick neutral. They flip a coin, and it's got a red side and a green side, and you each have on an ankle band that is red or green. And whichever the coin lands on, that person gets to pick, and you can either pick neutral or you can pick top or bottom, which top is offensive and bottom is defensive. Normally people pick bottom because if you stand up right away, you get a point, which I'll explain later. And then in international, there is no top and bottom. You wrestle head up the entire time unless you get taken down, and after 15 seconds, if there's no points being scored in international wrestling, then they stand you back up anyways. How the points work in college and high school, they're almost similar besides near fall points, but takedowns are 2 points. So if you take somebody down to the mat, like and you're on top, then you get 2 points for that. If the person that gets taken down escapes, then they get a point, or if they reverse you, whoever's on top, and they get on top, then they get 2 points. And then near fall, which is if your back breaks 90 degrees, so if your shoulders are facing the mat even a little bit, then they start to count time, and after 2 seconds in college it's 2 points, and after 4 seconds you get 4 points. And then in high school, 2 seconds is 2 points, but 5 seconds is 3 points. There is no 4 seconds. And then in international, which is very different, there's takedowns are 1 point. And there's also a thing called push out, which you're wrestling a circle, and if you get pushed out of the outside circle, then the person who pushed you out gets a point. Exposure, takedown with exposure, which exposure in international or Olympic wrestling is if your back even faces the mat at all. So it could be like for a split second, you still get points for it. So if you get taken down and your back is exposed, then you get 3 points. But exposure by itself, like if you get taken down and they roll you, then it's 2 points. A feet to back throw, which is if somebody throws you from like in an upper body move and you go straight to your back, that's 5 points for them. Depending on how good it is, it could be 3 or 5. And then for reversals, you only get 1 point, and cautions is 1 or 2 points depending on what the ref says or like how many times he's warned you. With in international wrestling, it's not really a rule on how many cautions you get. It's just based all on the ref's his own opinion and what he wants to do. And although wrestling is a individual sport mostly, there are dual meets, and that's like two teams, they meet and they go head on head and wrestle every weight class. So there's in college there's 10 weight classes, in high school there's 13, and they wrestle every weight class, and at the end, it's whoever has the most points win, like every other sport. But how you can gain points is minor decisions, which is if you win 7 points or less in a match, then your team gets 3 points. A major decision, which is if you win 8 to 14 points, you get 4 points for your team. And technical fall, which is if you get 15 points more than the person that you're wrestling. So if it's 15-0, they stop the match. Even if it's in the first period or the second period, they stop the match because it's just getting too bad. And you get 5 points for that. And then pinfall, which is if a wrestler is held on their shoulders or their shoulder blades for more than 2 seconds, then you get 6 points for that towards your team. That's wrestling.
Perfect.